It's one of the most unexpected, yet perfectly poetic matchups in recent playoff memory, Indiana versus New York. A clash between two teams with decades of unfinished business and a fan base on each side that's been waiting far too long for a shot at the finals. The Pacers are back in the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time since the Paul George era. And the Knicks? Well, it's been 25 years. But don't let the nostalgia fool you. This isn't just a historic rematch. It's a collision between two very different basketball philosophies. And the result might just decide more than who advances to the finals. It could define an entire era of Eastern Conference basketball. So the question is simple. Who actually has the edge? Let's begin with Indiana. Since the start of the new year, the Pacers have quietly played like one of the best teams in the entire NBA. Combine regular season and playoff games since January. First, and when Tyrese Haliburton is in the lineup, Indiana is 38-11. That's a 64-win pace over a full season. They've evolved from an exciting offensive squad into a legitimate contender. Fast, unrelenting, and built to run you out of the gym. At the heart of it all is their signature weapon, transition offense. It's been their identity for 2 straight seasons. Every team that prepares to play them talks about slowing down the pace, forcing them into half-court sets. And yet, somehow, Indiana always finds a way to get back into their rhythm. This is where things get interesting, because New York might actually be built to throw a wrench in that system. Unlike most playoff teams, the Knicks can beat you in multiple ways. They can slow the game to a crawl and grind out possessions with Jalen Brunson, or they can crash the offensive glass with Josh Hart, Mitchell Robinson, or even Karl Anthony Towns, and take away Indiana's fast break entirely. That battle between pace and control might be the most important chess match of the entire series. But don't mistake the Pacers for a one-dimensional team. One of their biggest advantages is depth. While the Knicks have leaned heavily on there, start us often playing their core guys. 40-plus minutes, Indiana spreads their minutes across a deep 10 or 11-man rotation. They stay fresh, they stay fast, and by the time the fourth quarter rolls around, they still have gas in the tank. That depth gives Rick Carlisle the ability to adjust, adapt, and outlast teams that try to go toe-to-toe for 48 minutes. It's not just about pushing the pace, it's about physically exhausting the opposition. So how do the Knicks counter that? Well, it starts with discipline. They'll need to either make a full commitment to getting back on defense every possession, or flip the script and dominate the possession game by crashing the boards and forcing Indiana's wings to stay home and rebound. If Hart, Robinson, and Towns are attacking the offensive glass, suddenly Nesmith and Siakam can't leak out for easy buckets. It's not just about scoring, it's about disrupting Indiana's flow. And here's where the series could shift dramatically. We saw New York adjust their defensive schemes dramatically in the last round. In their series against Boston, they morphed into a switch-heavy defense that looked completely different from their regular season identity. They trusted Towns to switch onto wings. They trusted Robinson to guard every position. They even leaned into hybrid zones and pre-switching to protect Brunson. That version of the Knicks, flexible, disciplined, and defensively locked in, is the version that can truly test Indiana. But it's not just about the starters. Every minute Tyrese Haliburton is on the floor, the Knicks have to be near perfect. Because when he's out there, the Pacers become one of the most explosive offensive machines in basketball. He doesn't just score, he controls the tempo, breaks down coverages, and constantly forces defenders to make choices they don't want to make. He'll pull up if you go under, he'll drive if you switch, and he'll dish if you help. Against drop coverage, he carves defenses apart. Against switches, he gets downhill and creates open looks. And what makes it even harder is that his supporting cast has been lights out from deep. Siakam, Nesmith, Nembhard, and Turner are all shooting well over 40% from 3 this postseason, which means help defense might not even be an option. So what does that mean for New York? It means Mitchell Robinson could be the X factor. He's looked healthier and more mobile than he's been in years. He's been switching onto guards, blowing up pick and rolls, and dominating the paint. If he can stay on the floor and avoid trouble, his ability to defend every type of action might be the only way to contain Haliburton. But that also means New York needs to protect him. They need to keep him in the action, not hiding on a corner shooter. If Indiana starts pulling him away from the paint, using ghost screens or spacing him out by design, the Knicks will have to counter with clever rotations and maybe even lineup changes. And then there's Brunson, the most clutch scorer in the playoffs. The engine of the Knicks' half-court offense, the one guy who can break any scheme. The Pacers are going to throw everything at him. Full court pressure from Nembhard and Nesmith. Traps at the top of the key, hedges to get the ball out of his hands. But he's one of the most composed, polished offensive players in the league. He doesn't get sped up, he doesn't turn the ball over. And even if they deny him touches early, the Knicks can initiate offense with Hart, OG, or McBride and use Brunson off-ball until he gets the matchup he wants. That kind of flexibility makes New York incredibly dangerous. Still, the real question is whether the Pacers can live with Brunson going off, as long as they contain everyone else. That might be their best bet. Let Brunson get his mid-range jumpers and tough floaters, but don't let OG Anunoby, Towns, or Hart start hitting threes. Don't let the Knicks role players dictate the game. If they can execute that kind of game plan, they might just have the firepower to outscore New York on the other end. And that brings us back to what really matters in this series: clutch time. Both teams have been nearly perfect in close games. New York has been winning with suffocating defense and late-game heroics from Brunson. Indiana has been doing it with unselfish ball movement and relentless pressure. Neither team is going to flinch. And that's what makes this series so special, because it's not about who wants it more. It's about who executes better when everything's on the line.